In the ancient pages of the Ethiopian Bible, there is a powerful figure described not just as an angel, but as the keeper of the universe's secrets. This is none other than Archangel Michael. Have you ever wondered why, among the myriad of angels in heaven, Michael is especially revered in Ethiopian tradition? This story begins in the earliest pages of the Book of Enoch, one of the oldest texts of Ethiopian Christianity. In the Book of Enoch, chapter 20, verse 5, Michael is described as one of the holy angels set over the people and chaos. But what's special is that while Western traditions often emphasize Michael's warrior role, the Ethiopian Bible paints a much more complex and profound picture of this angel. Imagine a world where the boundary between heaven and earth is as thin as the morning mist. In that world, Michael is not merely a warrior with a fiery sword, but also the holder of the universe's deepest secrets. What makes the Ethiopian interpretation of Michael so unique? The answer lies in three main aspects. First, while Western texts often focus on the battle between Michael and Satan, the Ethiopian Bible particularly emphasizes his role as a spiritual teacher. In the Book of Enoch, chapter 40, we see Michael described as the one who teaches the secrets of mercy and justice. Second, Ethiopian tradition believes that Michael is not only the protector of Israel, but also the guardian of all nations. This is clearly shown in the Book of Kebra-Nagast, the book that tells of the glory of the Ethiopian kings. And Michael, the angel of the Lord, stands guarding all the borders of Ethiopia. Third, and perhaps most notably, Michael is seen as the keeper of the keys of knowledge. In ancient Ethiopian texts, he is not just a warrior, but also a heavenly scholar who understands all the laws of the universe. But why is this study important to us today? In an age of science and technology, many might dismiss these ancient stories as mere myths. However, the way Ethiopian tradition describes Michael offers us a unique perspective on the relationship between divine knowledge and human wisdom. Consider this. In an increasingly polarized world, what can the image of Michael, both a warrior of justice and a compassionate teacher, teach us about balancing strength and wisdom? As we continue our journey of exploring Michael through the lens of the Ethiopian Bible, we will uncover surprising and profound aspects of this angel. But first, let's delve into the origins of Michael, a story that begins from the very first moments of creation. So what happened in those first moments, and why is understanding Michael's origins so crucial in deciphering his role in the universe? To answer this question, we enter the story of Michael's origins, a story uniquely told in the Ethiopian Book of Enoch. Did you know that according to Ethiopian tradition, Michael was present from the very first moments of the universe? The Book of Enoch, chapter 24, verses 4 through 6, describes, "Before the sun and the signs were created, before the stars of heaven were set in place, the name of Michael was proclaimed before the Most High." This reveals a unique perspective on Michael's position in the heavenly order. He is not just a created angel, but an embodiment of divine will. But what makes Michael special in the angelic hierarchy? The Book of Jubilees, chapter 2, verses 2 through 3, reveals an astonishing detail. Among all the angels of presence, Michael was chosen to lead because he alone understood both the language of heaven and earth. This is a unique aspect rarely mentioned in other traditions. Imagine a moment when the universe was still a void. Michael stood beside the Creator, not just as a witness, but as an interpreter of creation. He understood both the language of light and darkness, of order and chaos. In the Ethiopian Book of Enoch, chapter 40, we find a detailed description of Michael's position in the angelic hierarchy. "And I saw thousands upon thousands, 10,000 times 10,000 angels, and Michael, the most noble angel, was their leader." Notably, the text emphasizes not only Michael's power but also his nobility, a quality associated with wisdom and virtue. But there's a little-known detail. According to the Book of Kebra-Nagast, Michael was not only created as an angel, but was forged from the very light of heavenly glory. This explains why in ancient Ethiopian art, Michael is often depicted with a special halo, distinct from other angels. The question arises, why is understanding Michael's origins so important? Because it explains his unique power and responsibility. In the book of Enoch, chapter 71, verse 3, it records, Michael holds the deepest secrets of heaven because he has witnessed them from the beginning. What does this mean for us today? In an age of information and knowledge, the story of Michael reminds us that true knowledge is not just about holding information, but also about understanding its deeper meaning. Like Michael, who stands between heaven and earth, we too need to learn how to interpret, not just between languages, but between cultures, between science and spirituality. But what roles and responsibilities did this noble origin lead Michael to? And why, among all the angels, was Michael entrusted with the task of protecting the people of Israel? In the book of Daniel, Michael is described not only as a guardian angel, but also as the great prince of heaven. The book of Daniel, chapter 12, verse 1 clearly states, "At that time, Michael, the great prince who stands watch over the sons of your people, shall arise." But what makes this role special in the Ethiopian context? The answer lies in Michael's three main roles. First, as the protector of Israel, Michael is described in much more detail in the Ethiopian Bible than in other traditions. In the book of Kebra Nagast, chapter 100, it is written, Michael not only protects them from visible enemies, but also against the invisible forces seeking to undermine their faith. This shows a deeper aspect of his protective role. Imagine, in the darkest moments of Israel's history, when the nation faced the threat of annihilation, Michael stood as a divine shield. The book of Enoch, chapter 20, verse 5, describes, "He is the one who guards the souls of the righteous until the day of their liberation." Second, Michael's role as the bearer of justice is particularly evident in the book of Jubilees. Chapter 4, verses 15 through 17, tells of how Michael weighs each soul. And Michael holds the scales of justice in his hand, measuring every action of man with absolute precision. This is not merely an image of judgment, but a symbol of fairness and compassion. But there's a little-known detail. According to Ethiopian tradition, Michael is not only a judge, but also an advocate for souls seeking redemption. In the Ethiopian book of Enoch, chapter 40, verse 9, we read, "Michael, the merciful and patient one, is the intercessor for those seeking the light." Third, and perhaps most importantly, Michael is seen as the keeper of the universe's secrets. The book of Enoch, chapter 71, reveals, "And Michael led me to the deepest secrets, things that other angels were not permitted to know." This explains why, in ancient Ethiopian art, Michael is often depicted holding a mysterious book. What does this role mean in the modern world? It reminds us that true knowledge is not just information, but the wisdom to use that information rightly. Like Michael, who balances justice and mercy, we too need to find balance in our lives. Another special aspect mentioned in the book of Kebra Nagast is Michael's role in protecting the Ark of the Covenant. Chapter 114 recounts, "And Michael stood guard over the Ark of the Covenant, not just as a sacred object, but as a symbol of the covenant between heaven and earth." This shows that Michael is not only a physical protector, but also a guardian of the divine relationship between the Creator and creation. In our time, when the lines between right and wrong are increasingly blurred, what can the image of Michael, both a protector and a fair judge, teach us? Perhaps it is a lesson about balancing justice and mercy, strength and wisdom. But how does Michael carry out these important roles in practice? And what happens when he faces the greatest challenges in his divine mission? In the Ethiopian Bible, Michael is described as the only angel entrusted with simultaneously undertaking the three most important tasks in the cosmic order. The first and most important task of Michael is to fight against evil forces. In the book of Enoch, chapter 10, verses 11 through 12, we read a remarkable passage. And the Lord said to Michael, "Bind Semyaza and his associates who have united with women to defile themselves." This passage not only describes a simple battle, but also reveals the nature of the spiritual warfare Michael must face. The book of Kebra-Nagast, one of Ethiopia's most important texts, delves deeper into how Michael carries out this task. In chapter 115, it is written, "And Michael, with the sword of justice in hand, fights not only against visible evil, but also against the hidden darkness within the human soul." This shows that Michael's battle occurs on multiple levels, from the physical to the spiritual. A special aspect of this task is revealed in the Ethiopian Synaxarium on the 12th of Seni. This text recounts how Michael uses not only strength, but also wisdom and mercy in his fight against evil. And Michael confronts the enemy not with anger but with the light of truth, causing darkness to retreat before his presence. Michael's second task is to protect the souls of the righteous. The book of Jubilees, chapter 35, verse 17, states, "And Michael is tasked with guarding the souls of the righteous, so that they do not go astray on their journey back to the Creator." But the way Michael carries out this task has special points that few know about. In the Ethiopian book of Enoch, chapter 89, we find a notable detail. "And I saw Michael recording every action of man in the book of life, not to judge but to understand and guide." This shows that Michael is not merely a protector but also a teacher and spiritual guide. The Ethiopian Synaxarium also tells a touching story about how Michael carries out this protective task. On the 12th of Hedar, it is recorded, "And Michael came to a poor man in despair, not in the form of a radiant angel, but as an ordinary traveler. Through a simple conversation, he helped the man find faith and hope again." This story shows that Michael often chooses a humble and approachable way to fulfill his mission. The third task, and perhaps the most delicate, is to convey divine messages. The book of Enoch, chapter 40, verse 9, describes Michael as the blessed one among the angels of presence, set over all good messages for the people. But how does Michael carry out this task in practice? According to the book of Kebra-Nagast, Michael uses three main methods to convey divine messages. The first is through dreams and visions, as recorded in chapter 98, "And Michael appears in the dreams of the righteous, not to frighten them, but to enlighten their minds." The second is through signs in nature, and the third is by appearing directly at crucial moments in history. A notable example of the third method is recorded in the Ethiopian Synaxarium. "And Michael appeared before King Solomon, not in radiant glory but in the form of an old wise man, to convey heavenly wisdom in a way that humans could understand." What is remarkable is how Michael carries out all three tasks, reflecting an important principle: the balance between power and humility. In the book of Enoch, chapter 71, we read, "Michael never acts solely for justice, but always seeks redemption and guidance." But how are these divine tasks manifested in specific historical events? And what happens when Michael faces the greatest challenges in his mission? The answer will be revealed in the next part of the story. Did you know that in the Ethiopian Bible, the battle between Michael and Lucifer is described in more detail than any other ancient text? The book of Enoch, chapter 29, begins with a dramatic scene. "And I saw Michael, the most noble angel, standing before Lucifer, who was once the bright star of the morning." This confrontation is not just a simple battle, but a moment that redefines the order of the universe. According to the book of Kebra-Nagast, chapter 100, the battle takes place on three levels. The first level is the battle of wills, and Michael confronts Lucifer's pride not with strength but with holy humility. The second level is the battle of intellect, where Michael must face Lucifer's cunning lies. The third level, and most important, is the battle of love, between Lucifer's self-serving love and Michael's love of service. A notable detail is recorded in the Ethiopian Synaxarium on the 12th of Sin. And when Lucifer declared, "I will set my throne above the stars," Michael did not respond with anger, but simply declared, "Mikael," meaning "who is like God." This statement is not just a declaration, but a profound reminder of the true nature of power and greatness. The second significant event is Michael's role in the Great Flood. The Book of Jubilees, chapter 5, reveals a little-known aspect, and Michael was tasked not only with executing judgment, but also with preserving the seeds of life. This shows that even in the moments of the harshest judgment, mercy is always present. In the Ethiopian Book of Enoch, chapter 60, we read, "And Michael stood guard over Noah's ark, not only protecting it from the raging waves, but also guiding it to safety with heavenly light." This image is reminiscent of Michael's role as a guide in the darkest moments of human history. The third event, and perhaps the most far-reaching, is Michael's interventions in human history. The Ethiopian Synaxarium recounts many instances of Michael appearing at crucial times. One of the most notable stories is recorded on the 12th of Hadar. "And Michael appeared before King Solomon not to boast of power, but to convey heavenly wisdom." But perhaps Michael's most important intervention recorded in the Book of Kebra-Nagast is the protection of the Ark of the Covenant. Chapter 114 recounts, "And when dark forces sought to seize the Ark of the Covenant, Michael protected it not only with strength, but also by making the wicked understand the sacred meaning of this holy object." What is remarkable is that in each event, Michael consistently demonstrates a principle: using power not to destroy, but to protect and guide. In the Book of Enoch, chapter 71, we read, "And in all his actions, Michael always seeks redemption rather than punishment, guidance rather than condemnation." What do these events mean for us today? They show that even in the darkest moments, there's always a guiding light. Like how Michael balances justice and mercy, we too need to find balance in facing life's challenges. But how are these historical events reflected in symbols and spiritual meanings? And why has Michael's sword become one of the most powerful symbols of heavenly justice? In Ethiopian tradition, Michael's sword is not just a weapon of battle, but a symbol of the discernment between truth and falsehood. The Book of Enoch, chapter 90, uniquely describes Michael's sword. "And in his hand, the sword not only shines with heavenly fire, but also reflects the truth of the universe." Notably, according to the Book of Kebra-Nagast, this sword was forged from the light of the first day of creation, a detail that shows the deep connection between justice and primordial light. But there's a little-known detail. In ancient Ethiopian art, Michael's sword is often depicted with two edges, one sharp and one blunt. The Ethiopian Synaxarium explains, "The sharp edge symbolizes strict justice, while the blunt edge symbolizes mercy, because Michael never uses power without compassion." The second symbol is the scales of balance. In the Book of Enoch, chapter 40, we read, "And Michael holds in his hand the scales of justice, weighing not only actions, but also the intentions in the human heart." These scales are not a tool of punishment, but a symbol of deep understanding of human nature. The Book of Jubilees, chapter 4, reveals a special aspect of these scales. "And on one side of the scales are the deeds of man. On the other side are the opportunities they have been given." This shows that Michael not only evaluates outcomes, but also considers circumstances and potential. The third symbol, and perhaps the most unique in Ethiopian tradition, is Michael's heavenly armor. The Book of Kebra-Nagast describes, "His armor is not made of earthly metal, but woven from the prayers of the righteous." This is a beautiful image of the connection between heavenly strength and human faith. In the Ethiopian Synaxarium on the 12th of Sene, there is a detailed description of this armor. Each link in the armor is an act of mercy. Each shield is a sincere prayer. This suggests that Michael's true strength does not come from weapons, but from faith and compassion. What is remarkable is how these symbols combine in ancient Ethiopian art. The sword is never depicted without the scales of justice, and the armor is always drawn with motifs symbolizing prayer. This is not a coincidence, but a profound message about the balance between justice and mercy. But what spiritual lessons do these powerful symbols offer us? And why is understanding their meaning so important in our journey to find balance between justice and mercy in modern life? Every action of Michael carries a lesson about the balance between justice and mercy. The Book of Enoch, chapter 71, begins with a profound observation. In every judgment of Michael, there is never justice without mercy, nor mercy without justice. This is not just a heavenly principle, but a deep lesson for how we treat each other in daily life. The Book of Kebra Nagast delves deeper into this meaning by recounting how Michael deals with lost souls. He never condemns without offering redemption, never forgives without sincere repentance. This teaches us that both strictness and tolerance are necessary in spiritual growth. A special aspect is revealed in the Ethiopian Synaxarium on the 12th of Hadar. When Michael holds the scales of justice, he not only weighs outward actions, but also sees through the motives in the heart. This reminds us that the true value of an action lies not only in the outcome, but also in the intention behind it. The second lesson about the balance between good and evil is shown through how Michael fights against evil forces. The Book of Enoch, chapter 40, records, Michael never uses power for the sake of power, but always for the purpose of protection and guidance. This is a valuable lesson on how to use our power and influence. In the Book of Jubilees, chapter 10, we find a notable detail. And when Michael faces the enemy, he does not seek to destroy them, but to transform them. This suggests that the ultimate goal of the battle is not victory, but transformation and reconciliation. The role of faith in life is particularly evident through the image of Michael's armor. The Ethiopian Synaxarium describes, the strongest armor is not forged from metal, but woven from faith and trust. This reminds us that true strength comes from belief and adherence to moral values. A special lesson about humility is found in how Michael carries out his tasks. The Book of Kebra Nagast records, though the most powerful angel, Michael always acts with deep humility, never boasting of his strength. This is a valuable lesson on how to use power and influence in life. But how can we apply these spiritual lessons to modern life? And why is understanding Michael so important in our journey to find meaning and purpose in life? What makes Michael so important in our modern world? The Book of Kebra Nagast, in its final chapter, offers a thought-provoking observation. In every age, Michael appears not to display power, but to remind humanity of divine balance. This holds special significance in our time, when the lines between right and wrong are increasingly blurred. Through the journey of understanding Michael in the Ethiopian Bible, we have explored three important aspects. The first is his role as a symbol of the balance between justice and mercy. In the Book of Enoch, chapter 71, we read, Michael never executes justice without mercy, nor shows mercy without justice. The second aspect is how Michael demonstrates strength through humility. The Ethiopian Synaxarium records, though the most powerful angel, Michael always chooses the path of service and humility. This is a valuable lesson in an age where power is often expressed through imposition and domination. The third aspect, and perhaps the most important, is Michael's role as a spiritual guide. The Book of Jubilees describes, Michael not only protects and judges, but also guides and enlightens. In the modern world, where many are seeking meaning and direction in life, this role of Michael becomes particularly significant. But perhaps the greatest lesson from Michael's story is about how to face life's challenges. The Ethiopian Synaxarium recounts, "In every trial, Michael not only teaches us how to win, but also how to win rightly." This suggests that not only the outcome, but also the process is important. In the modern world where technology and science are advancing rapidly, the lessons from Michael about balancing power and responsibility become particularly meaningful. As the Book of Kebra Nagast reminds us, the more power we have, the more we need to learn to use it with wisdom and mercy. The story of Archangel Michael is not just a part of religious history, but a reminder of the power of faith and justice in our lives. In every decision, in every action, we have the opportunity to demonstrate the balance between justice and mercy, between strength and humility, qualities that Michael has exemplified perfectly through the millennia. And perhaps that is the greatest legacy that Michael's story leaves us. Not the miracles or supernatural powers, but the lesson of how to live a meaningful and balanced life, even in the most challenging times.